Hey there, Alex Kidman here with my really quick early initial impressions of Apple's iPhone 16e, announced overnight as pretty much everyone predicted. So the iPhone 16e replaces the iPhone SE lineup as Apple's most affordable iPhones. And that's very deliberate choice of words there. Apple really doesn't like the word cheap. But it's really interesting to see how much of this phone is basically an iPhone 16, just slightly cheaper. And I think if you're keen on the 16e, it's worth looking at what those differences actually are. So we have a new low cost of $999 Australian. International pricing, of course, will vary. And that, for a start, is a really interesting choice on Apple's part. And I say that because when the previous model of the iPhone SE, the 2022 variant, launched, it was $719 for the entry-level model. In fact, every model of the iPhone SE 2022 here in Australia cost less than the entry-level model of the iPhone 16e. So affordability is an interesting call here, Apple, although yes, it is now Apple's lowest cost iPhone. The 14 models have been discontinued as per Apple. The 15 model is still out there, but it starts at $1,249, so a fair bit more than the entry-level 16e. Actually, the 15, if you're looking at new iPhones, is really not the phone to buy. Cannot advise that you buy that one because, in fact, the $1,399 iPhone 16 is just a much better phone for your money at that kind of price point. That's not a huge price jump once you're over $1,000. And let's face it, none of these are particularly cheap or affordable iPhones in that sense. Apple does not, of course, like the word cheap, but I can confidently predict it'll be a long, long time before you see an actual budget iPhone coming directly out of Apple. You will, of course, see the odd refurb phone sitting out there at lower price points, but they have their own challenges and risks, shall we say. What you're getting here is an interesting mix, though. The A18 processor in there should be nicely powerful. It's got a slightly less powerful GPU, although, I don't know, I suspect unless you really are hitting those AAA games that Apple likes to tout for the iPhone, you're maybe not going to see that GPU power in day-to-day usage, which could make it a decent way to save a little bit of money. You only get Qi, though. You don't get MagSafe at all. So if you've got a MagSafe charger with an angle on it, it's not going to stick unless you buy a specific MagSafe case. And it's only ever going to do 7.5 watts of charging, not the full 15 watts that Qi 2 can do. Slightly disappointing differentiation point there, Apple, really. It's also, of course, Apple's first phone with its new C1 modem in there. It's owned a modem business. It bought one from Intel back in 2019. For years now, we've been waiting to see what it would do. Now, interesting that it is more power efficient and that they're claiming it's got up to 26 hours battery life. Obviously, still to be tested to see how true that is in real-world usage. But equally kind of frustrating in that the first thing that they've brought out is a non-millimeter wave 5G modem. Now, to be fair, here in Australia, Apple's never released a millimeter wave phone because Apple, basically, I mean, they've got millimeter wave iPhone 16 models in the States, for example, but we just don't see those here. So in one sense, you know, the more it changes, the more it stays the same, I guess. But I'm going to predict that we'll see effectively a C2 variant when the 17 family launches later this year, although whether we'll see millimeter wave here in Australia, well, that remains to be seen. So should you buy the 16e? Look, I think it's an interesting prospect, but if you're already spending $999 and upwards, I find it a little bit hard to say that this is a great value proposition when the 16 is just that little bit better. It's not a heck of a lot more expensive. And maybe that's the plan all along. Maybe this is the, hey, this makes the 16 look like so much of a better proposition. Anyway, that's my initial take. What's your thoughts? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, thanks for watching. And don't forget to hit like and subscribe.